What is this all about? And this is about the greatest, most positive turning point in my life. About what has changed my life forever in the most positive of ways. And so I call it life-changing information. And because this at least is what this information was for me. I have read a line, and this line, one single line, has changed my life forever. Completely randomly, I have read a comment, and this comment, one or two lines, and this information has altered my life forever in the most positive of ways. And this information has led to the greatest, most tremendous positive turning point in my complete and entire existence. Of course, I'm going to share it, and because when it has happened, I have asked myself, why has no one told me this earlier? It was completely overwhelming in the most positive of ways. If I have to name the greatest turning point in my life, then it is exactly this. And it all happened completely and entirely randomly. And just when I was reading the comment section on YouTube, where I have come across a comment with this information that I now want to share. It was almost to the point 5 years ago. I'm recording this video now in winter, in January 2026, and January 2021 was the point where I have applied this information, and that I'm going to share in a minute. Information that I'm going to share right now. I also want to say, I know that there are people that say do not do this, and because it can have a negative outcome. For me, it was the complete and entirely opposite. I was only, why has no one told this to me earlier? And because, like I have said, at the greatest, most positive, forever life-altering turning point in my life, most explosive, positive one, the strongest, most delightful, most exciting, so exhilarating, so incredible, beautiful. I have no words enough of praise. I quite often think back to this point where I have read this comment and then I have applied this information with the most tremendous success. And I thought I cannot even thank this person that has changed my life so completely. And it even was potentially life-saving information for me. I have no idea who it is. And that, by writing this comment, had the most tremendous influence on my life. And is this not amazing? So this is what I now want to share. And that you, perhaps you as well, everyone, can be the information that, for example, just by writing a comment on YouTube can change the life of another one so tremendously positive for forever. That is something to behold, and that is amazing, breathtaking. I have no words how powerful that is. That just a line written on YouTube has the power to alter the life of others in such an incredible, tremendous way. So powerful. I now make a real effort to share what has happened to me for everyone who is open to it. There are people who say one should not do this. I do not agree with this statement. I am all for it. But there are certain precautions perhaps, or there are certain things that one has to be aware of and keep in one's mind. And what is this all about? Almost exactly 5 years ago, when I have utterly randomly, I was not at all looking for this information because I had no idea that this is even possible. no idea whatsoever. So it was a complete and entirely coincidence. I completely randomly I saw this line, and the line was the following. If one wants to experience help from otherworldly entities, from otherworldly sources, and then one first of all has to ask for it proactively. With your own free will, you have to invite otherworldly entities in so that they can have positive influence in your life. And that was the message of this one or two lines, that if one wants to experience help from otherworldly entities, from otherworldly sources, and that are not in 3D, that one has to proactively ask for it. Because we live on a planet of free will, the first important step is, and that we proactively are going to ask for assistance and for help. Only then, if we proactively ask for it, only then we can consequently experience it. And that was the message of this line, to proactively, with their own free will, invite help in. And that was it. I have come across these lines, this information. I just was reading it, and I was not thinking much about this at all. I have never been a religious person. I like religion, the positive elements that are somewhere in all religions, but I have never been a religious person. So of course I have not really paid attention to this. I have not been a believer of extraterrestrial life. I was not interested in the extraterrestrial topic. Not really interested. Not been a believer in any way. It was somehow indicated in this line that I have come across, and that the entities, that this person that was writing this comment, these lines that I have read, and that one has to invite this help in from otherworldly entities, otherworldly sources, it was going in the direction of spirit guides. I was certainly not thinking about extraterrestrial life when I have come across this line. So, like said, I have not paid much attention to it. But the thing is, I have never forgotten this information that should alter my life completely. And I would have never ever believed this at this point when I was reading it. I've just read it, heard it, practically forgotten it. It was in January of 2021. Perhaps in the midst of January, just as we have right now. Also beautiful that I make this video exactly 5 years later in midst of January. It was at this point, a few weeks after I have read this information, that I have applied it. It was so. I practically have dismissed this information, or not really dismissed. I have not known if this true, could this work. I have not planned to apply it. I have not planned to really do this. But then it was so. I was going through a very horrific time. And just as random as I have come across this information, I also completely spontaneously I have come to apply this information out of the blue, completely, entirely, spontaneously. I have an incredible hard life in certain ways, an incredible, emotionally most demanding time, incredible grief, and therefore I had so many nights of extreme, really extreme agony. That was such a night where I was lying in bed, incredibly traumatized, under incredible pain, emotional pain, born out of many things. And that has already been going on for many years, but then come another incredible trauma, and like never getting a break, being perpetually traumatized. So one night of incredible pain, of incredible emotional agony, it was in such a night that I have remembered completely spontaneously, have I remembered this line, that if one wants to experience help, assistance From otherworldly entities, one has first of all to ask for it, and invite this help in. And I, in my incredible pain, in my incredible agony, I have remembered it suddenly, and then I thought it cannot hurt to try. I have not believed in it. I could also not say that I know for certain that it does not work. I'm a person that leaves it open because I know I am not God. Who I am to say it works or it works not. I thought, why not try it? So born out of this incredible intense pain, I remembered this line and I decided like to go really with the flow because it has felt so very right in this moment to try this out, to apply this information because I thought it cannot hurt if I just ask for help. Ask for help from whoever in this message, in this information that I was talking about. It was going in the direction spirit guides. That was just a word for me. So I have not really directed my plea for help or my call for help or my call for assistance. I have not directed at anyone in particular. Just I put out this incredible call, but not on anyone in specific. And just if there is anyone, any entity, wherever, anywhere, if anyone can hear me, I've not spoken this aloud, completely internalized. It was an incredible strong cry for assistance, incredibly deep, incredibly heartfelt, like the most intense prayer that you can possibly ever imagine, with tears running down my face, incredible strong, incredibly heartfelt, truly in my emotions, and it felt so very right to make this call out, telepathically, without any words whatsoever, but not on anyone in particular, and just on any entity, in any universe, in any dimension, anywhere. If anyone can hear me and anyone likes to help me, really likes it. That was also an important point, that I only invited someone in to help me who really likes to do that, who really lives for it, who really enjoys to do this for another one. That was a very important point in my personal message, that I invited telepathically this assistance and this help in. I only wanted an entity, someone, anyone who really would like to help me in whatever way they can. That is what I did, going with the flow, as I call it. It felt so incredibly right in this moment, even if I have not believed in it. But there is another language that is not the brain, so my mind, of course, the mind of someone that is not a believer talks against it, but on another part, on an emotional, heartfelt part, that felt completely and entirely right. And that is what I did, with all my heart or with all my soul, completely and entirely in the moment. So a complete and entirely strong call. I really have intense energy. I'm an extremely deeply feeling person, and that is such a powerful force of energy that I really say now went out. The strongest call there can be went out from my embodiment telepathically. Like the most intense prayer possible is the perfect description. Completely and entirely one and one with myself, completely coming from my heart and soul, as you call it, and the deepest, most genuine and most honest call, plea, invitation for help and assistance from anyone there easily, not thinking about extraterrestrials. If one would have asked me whom I invite in, I would rather have said spirit guides, because that was indicated in the message that I have come across. So just anyone. And because from the humans I did really not had much help. So just I was looking, or I was not even looking because I have not thought it possible. I just remembered this line and I have applied it completely spontaneously, and it had felt so incredibly right. What I also did, I've invited someone in who is capable to read me completely. And because in my life, so much of this incredible trauma and grief was that I was never able to make myself understandable. So, such a big point in my personal grief and trauma was that my reality has not been validated, my feelings and my emotions, that I have been so incredibly misjudged in my life. So I was so much wanting just anyone who is capable to see me completely, read me completely, is scanning my mind and see that everything that I say is actually true. That is also what a big part of my prayer or my call was. I invited this positive someone, this benevolent helper in. I invited them to read my mind, to scan my mind completely. I've thought I have a very beautiful mind. I have no secrets. I have not wanted secrets. So I wanted just the truth. I wanted the truth out in the open. And therefore, it was such a big, strong point in my call to scan my mind and see me therefore completely. To read my mind, scan my mind, see everything of me, see everything from my past, see everything that I have been through. And that was such a very big part of this message. I have given my head completely free, like in the way that I wanted someone to read me. Read my mind, read my thoughts, read everything, see my past, see me and my past completely. That is what I actively wanted. Of course, embedded in the complete sensation that that is an incredible, helpful being, entity, whatever. Naturally, I wanted someone who helps me and not someone who does the opposite. So that was also very, very much embedded in this call, in this message, that I want someone very benevolent who lives for helping me or assisting me in whatever way they can. I nowadays call it a call for assistance, a most powerful, a most tremendous, most heartfelt energy I put out in the universe, anywhere, to anyone, this incredibly intense cry or this incredible force. It was an incredible force that went out from me, the most atomic prayer. Truly, if I look back at it, when one has such high and intense emotions, and then in these incredible stages of trauma and grief and agony, that is such an incredible, powerful thing that really can change worlds, as I have noticed firsthand. And this prayer or this call went on for about 10 minutes, perhaps, something like this. I did it in the night, in bed. And I will never forget this, of course not, because it had such an incredible, tremendous success. I would not have believed it possible. I left it open, but I have not believed in it. But someone came. Someone came. And someone has never left. I have invited this assistance in, and it was about 3 weeks later, and that I have seen them in the sky for the first time. And the specific help that came for me, in my personal case, it were extraterrestrials, reptile extraterrestrials. And so I'm now a contactee since almost 5 years. And it is the most uplifting, the most positive force in my life, the most elevating that I could ever have asked for. And there would be, of course, so much to tell, and I plan to make more videos. It has worked. I would not have thought it possible. What you call paranormal experiences in my life, precognitive experiences, which are really connected to my extreme high sensitivity, but I was never involved in the extraterrestrial topic. And then you get in contact, targeted in the most positive ways. I believe that I have become a contactee because of what I did, because I have invited an entity, someone in my specific case, extraterrestrials, reptile extraterrestrial, most playful, most benevolent, most tremendous, positive, most incredible, charming. I do not have physical contact, but of course you can see the character when you are in connection. It is my belief that when you do something like this, when you make a call for assistance, when you put this call out in the universe, and that someone comes and that is close to home, a match to your own energetic blueprint. It has always to be an energetic match somewhere. I'm a reptile dragon soul, as I know now through my contact, and my personal extraterrestrial roots are reptile. So that is what has coming to me in the most tremendously wonderful, positive, elevating, emotionally uplifting way that you can ever imagine. To come back to what I said at the beginning, that some people say that is not what you should ever do, you should never invite help in. I would of course recommend for any self-centered motives. I was asking for help, but from someone who, like I said, enjoys it and lives for that, and not for any other motive, just for help. I certainly was not asking for anything else but that, only that. Like only help in whatever form, emotional help. What I would never ask and what I would never recommend asking for help for any negatively self-oriented stuff. It has to come from a very pure, and that is the word, from a very pure state, from a heartfelt place, from a very soulful place, being incredible, genuine, like so incredibly pure and genuine. And then it is really my belief you get something equally pure, positive, good, very powerful in my case, because I am also very powerful in my energy, but incredible benevolent. If you really are coming from the purest, the most genuine, the most good, the most wholesome. Of course, I was incredibly traumatized when I made this call, under incredible pain, but I have been so genuine. And because I was so genuine, I call it wholesome, really wholesome. And when you make this call from this incredible, pure, honest, heartfelt place, and then you get something like this back. And that is my personal opinion. I, of course, since it was the greatest, most positive turning point, potentially life-saving. And because what later began, what followed this call, were the most emotionally uplifting experiences when you suddenly come into contact with extraterrestrials, even if it is not physical. It is such a powerful thing when you come from the background where you do not believe in it, and suddenly a whole new world opens up for you in such positive ways. And that is not, I call it the antidote. and it was the perfect antidote to the incredible grief and the incredible trauma that I have been under. And that is why I call it potentially life-saving. Because I was coming from this incredible traumatized place, and now there was coming in the antidote in form of the assistance from outside of Earth that followed this call. So the antidote and the trauma, this was now working against each other. You cannot come out of such an incredible grief of so many things. A chuck, that does not go. You cannot come out of this. But it was the antidote to the incredible pain and trauma that I have been under. It is very, very right to call it potentially life-saving. That is all what followed this call. From my background, of course, I could not recommend this strong enough. Proactively, with your own free will, ask for assistance. As I have read in this information, the line that has inspired it all, we live on a planet with free will, and you have to take your free will and actively ask for assistance. Only then it can be granted. And that is what I did. And soon hereafter, I have been approached in the sky. And you cannot even begin to imagine everything that followed this. The activity around me in the sky. It is mind-blowing, truly, truly mind-blowing. It was daily, to this day. I cannot begin. I do not want to go into this and start now, because mind-bending, mind-blowing, powerful, incredible, tremendously wonderful. So I certainly would recommend that. My only complaint was, why has no one told this to me earlier? If I just had done this earlier, why has no one told this to me before? Why have I so coincidentally found this out? Why has no one told it to me, was my sentiment. Because I had the most incredible, most elevating success with this action. The greatest turning point in my life. Greatest, most positive turning point. But I would only recommend it to people who are very, very, for lack of a better word, innocent. In a certain way, pure, that have the purest intention. Wholesome in this way, simply wholesome. And then you will get something wholesome back. That is somewhere a reflection of your own personal frequency, your own personal blueprint. And perhaps I can inspire someone to do this. And just as the line has inspired me with the greatest life-altering consequences, I could never tell this person what their comment has done in my life. So altering, the most altering turning point. And you do not even know who has given you this information. And just a random line changed your life for forever. Definitely recommended from me to the so-called pure people. I also want to say, if you make such a call for assistance to otherworldly entities, to me extraterrestrials came, what is the closest to home for me, my own galactic roots, so to speak, which in my case is reptile, extraterrestrials. But that of course is not true for someone else who makes this call, and they get what is right for them, of course, other type of extraterrestrial or other entities, more angelic beings, interdimensional beings that are very, very positive. And so, of course, it does not need to be extraterrestrials that you make a call and then extraterrestrial come. Can be something completely and entirely other. If you're not be specific about it. It's absolutely not specific at all, but this came. As I know now, it is also perhaps because which I have no shadow of a doubt whatsoever, because I am this so-called starseed, the extraterrestrial consciousness, so I already have been under observation, but they only interfered and made themselves visible to me after this call for assistance. I truly have now heard from many people that said, positive beings are respecting the free will of people, and so they wait until you make call yourself with your own free will. I also want to say, if you make such a call and you do not have a result, or you believe you do not see a result, that certainly does not mean that there is no result. There can be, of course, so much going on in completely invisible ways. You simply are not aware of it. But I think just to make this invitation will shift something, has an influence. Always you make it and you have an influence if you see it or if you do not see that. So it does not yet has to be in your awareness. It can be behind the scene in other ways. It is my strong belief that everyone gets what is right for them, what is perfectly fitting for them. I get such breathtaking sightings in the sky. I've gotten daily, multiple times at night, glorious sightings from the spacecraft that then started to interact with me. And I think for me the activity is mainly, not only, but mainly in the sky, because I'm such a visible, I've been an invisible person. The great drama of my life that I was invisible. But I wanted to say I'm such a visual person, a very visual person. And for me, when I see such tremendously beautiful starship expressions in the sky, and that is of course what is perfectly right and great for me, because I'm already such an artistic person, and that is really what is very much in alignment with me specifically. But the assistance that you call in can be very different for each and every person. It does not need to be visual.